Now, universities are offering thousands of pounds in grants to trans and non-binary students for fake breasts and chest binders. Now, one university has set aside almost £5,000 to help students buy clothes or travel for medical and therapy appointments.
But the question this morning is this a good use of university funding, or is the well-being of young people what is being considered? Now, joining us this morning for this debate, writer and author Katie John West, who welcomes the support and believes it's well-intentioned, whilst journalist and author Helen Joyce says she's extremely disappointed and thinks it's a massive, massive waste of money. Thank you both very much indeed for joining us. If I could please start with you, the lady on the left, whose name, because I'm not being given the information. The lady on the left, Helen, no, not Helen, she's on the right. Katie. The other lady, Katie, I do apologise, thank you. Would you understand, right, when we put this out about an hour and a half ago, the response has been extraordinary. Many people say, come on, for God's sake, our education system's in the toilet. Surely money could be better spent on people, kids' education. Your thoughts on that, Katie?
Well, UCL's my old university, but that's a long, long time ago, back in the 80s. And to be honest, I think this is a storm in a teacup, or a teacup, in fact, if this is what people have been given support for that. But at the end of the day, this is ultimately a university welfare fund that is being kind of applied for by student unions, and then they're kind of putting in suggestions of what they'd like to spend it on, etc. £5,000 actually at the end of the day is nothing. It's a drop in the ocean out of a £500,000 fund. And, you know, if roughly the number of students who are trans and non-binary, etc., are 1 or 2% of the student population, then 5,000 out of 500,000 is roughly kind of appropriate for that. And giving people support money to actually enable them to go to therapy, to travel to that is, you know, that's a good thing, given your last story as well about mental health. But, you know, obviously anyone grabbing hold of a headline is going to go say, you know, what's this, £5,000 being spent on fake breasts? That's not. They're being given a maximum of £50 to £100 in extreme circumstances to support students so they can actually just get on with their studies and not be distracted by things that are stressing them. So if that makes them more comfortable, it's not the university kind of signing up to gender ideology. It is literally just giving some support for students to enable them to kind of be calmer and more comfortable. I seriously do see it actually as an exaggerated scare story in that respect.
And Helen, Katie's right, isn't she, there, that the University of Kent, at the end of the day, it's not £5,000 that they're giving to one student. There's just £5,000 in a pot there of a wider £500,000 that trans, non-binary people can apply for, up to the cost of about £100 to help them with different things like getting to therapy appointments. What could possibly be wrong with that?
I think it was UCL that's doing that, which funnily enough is also my own old university. I don't think you planned any of that. And Kent is offering larger amounts towards medical costs, I think, of transition. I mean, Katie's quite right. This is a small amount of money, and saying, oh, £5,000, that's not going to fix education at university, even at one university. My issue with it is that it's a signal that it sends to all of the student body that this is a sensible use of money, or that people who want to change their identities and they turn up at university in ways that involve them taking on new pronouns and, you know, saying that they're the opposite sex or that they don't have a sex, that's something that's somehow worthy of support, when the other ways in which people reinvent themselves when they turn up at university aren't. And also some of the things that they're specifically suggesting that this money might go on, for example, breast binders, are really harmful. Breast binders are really harmful interventions, so they should not be suggesting at all or offering people any money to support them on that. You know, this is something that's going to worsen your mental health. It's not something that's going to better it. It's going to worsen your physical health as well. So it just seems to me to be a, you know, in one way, yes, a sort of pointless little story. It's 5k, people waste 5k all the time in our university sector. But in another way, it's a bad sign of wanting to look like you think that this is really something that is a, you know, a big burden on some students, totally different from the sorts of things that other students have to put up with.
But Helen, just to talk specifically now about the University of Kent, which the story is based on, they are saying we cannot fund medical procedures, therapy costs or hormone costs, and the maximum amount is £100. So it isn't a larger amount than 100. So this £500,000 is available generally for students. As Katie said rightly earlier, less than about 1% of students are trans or non-binary. So this is absolutely proportionate, because that other £500,000 will be used for students who are struggling to afford cost of living crisis in other areas of their lives? Why not also support trans people to just live a life that identifies with who they feel like they are on the inside?
How can fake breasts or a breast binder make you identify with who you are? Trans students, trans-identified students will have exactly the same
Lots of
problems
cis
as other
women
students.
have.
I'm not suggesting that they don't get access to this fund.
Helen, I would say even I, as a cisgendered woman, have used things like padded bras, chicken fillets, etc., to make me feel better about myself. And that's as somebody who was born in the body that I believe that I identify with.
And do you think you've got money for that from the student union?
No, but I'm not an oppressed group. Now, because I was born a female and I identify with being female. The trans, I'd never call it a trans issue, but trans people have issues like these in a way that I would never identify with. Isn't that right, Katie?
Well, as I say, I do think it's a sign of the times, but it's supporting the variety of the way people want to express. And there will be people at university who are struggling to afford all kinds of things. And if the fund also supports another group of people to get the mobility aids, I mean, ultimately, all of these things, whether it's other access to other kind of supportive devices and things, will be things that we will be getting through normal channels. But even our NHS and our kind of welfare groups, our mental health groups, they're all so short funded that it's a struggle to get help anywhere in all of these things. And I think the university, I don't think it's buying into a big ideology. If you look at all of the other portions of 5,000 given to all of the other kinds of things, you will see that it's like supporting just all of the varieties of the ways of being at university and all of the different minority groups in that respect. I think there are definitely bigger trans questions to tackle, but this isn't one of them.